So, Ginger.
Yeah?
You know how we wanted to start a podcast, but we were having trouble coming up with a topic?
Yeah?
Okay, so here's my pitch. The topic of the podcast is us trying to come up with the topic for the podcast.
What, like we pitch each other podcast ideas and that's the podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We could call it, What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Miles, that's really stupid. Let's do it.
What should this song be about? I'm trying to figure it out. What should this song be about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've had a moment of doubt. What should this song be about? Welcome to What Should Our Podcast Be About? The podcast where we try to figure out what this podcast that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm Miles Grover.
And I'm Ginger Barham.
I have one sort of update from last time. We were talking about the year 2069 and what social media would be like. And I just wanted to say that the social media website of the future is clearly going to be spacebook.com.
All right. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's all I got for updates.
Yeah.
Shall we get into podcast ideas? Do you have podcast ideas?
No.
No podcast ideas
I
at all?
failed this week.
Okay. All right. Well, I have some things.
But I might have some
You might have
as
some.
we go on.
Okay. That's fine. We can always kind of brainstorm if we just don't have any ideas, I guess.
What if I had no ideas and you had no ideas? Then what would we do?
We would just be like, what's some ideas we could have?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Think that would be good audio?
I don't know. Might have to edit it down quite a bit, I guess. But
a podcast where we both review coffee.
Okay. It all tastes
Every
bad.
one of your reviews will be like, this is horrible. Why would anyone drink this?
If you put enough like hot cocoa in it or whatever you put in mochas, I guess. You probably don't put actually exactly hot cocoa, but
Well, that's
whatever.
what you do. You just mix coffee and hot cocoa.
Well, I mean, it seems reasonable to me, but whatever you do, if you put enough sugar and stuff in it, I'll probably be like, this is a 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You've tried mochas, right?
I think so.
Have you tried it with just like one shot of espresso?
I just don't need it. I don't want it. I don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Some days you do.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess we could experiment with it.
Yeah. We could have a podcast where I go on a quest to find a coffee that you like.
Well, I mean, I think what would happen is if we did it long enough, then I would just acquire the taste eventually and be like, you could probably chart like episode per episode how much of the taste I'm acquiring and like, oh, this one's actually 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
This one's actually 6 out of 10, like over time.
Yeah.
But I don't see any reason that I would want to do that.
So you could be part of the coffee club. Have a vice, Miles.
Oh, yes. I have no vices. I certainly have no vices.
Have a vice that makes you productive.
I mean, yeah. I really don't think that I want to be drinking a lot of coffee when I'm medicated with my amphetamines.
Yeah, probably not. But you don't always take your medication every day.
Some days I forget.
Yeah. And on those days, you're just like,
Yeah. But the upside of that is that I can actually catch up on sleep a little bit on those days.
There's no catching up on sleep.
Well, there's some catching up on sleep. I'll never fully catch up, but so okay, well, we'll take that under consideration, I guess.
Put a pin in it.
Put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
I do have some ideas written down. I don't know if I have any that I feel like are like necessarily have a lot of legs, but
apropos of nothing. You ever think about how having cats is like having just permanent toddlers running around?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
until eventually they become elderly toddlers, they like revert back to newborn and just sleep all the time
and barf and poop on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Goosebump and Rory have sort of different styles of being little hurricanes in our house.
Yeah. Rory doesn't climb under your desk and try to chew on the cords.
Right. Not so far, at least.
Yeah.
Rory has never sent weird messages on Slack to my coworkers.
He would, though, if you let him get close enough to your computer.
I guess so.
If you didn't close your office door,
that's true.
You would have all kinds of baby messages to your coworkers.
He wouldn't do it just by walking back and forth across the keyboard.
No, he would be like the
He'd
banging.
be slapping
He'd
it.
be the slapping.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we could have a podcast about toddlers and cats and the similarities and differences.
Yeah.
Last time we had talked about slash fiction, and potentially...
And I was very disturbed, and I've tried to block it out.
Yeah, potentially like reading that or doing a podcast around that topic. And I don't necessarily think that is exactly the route we could take, but I wanted to bring it up again because I feel like there is such a wealth, if you want to call it that, of slash fiction and just fan fiction in general on the internet. There is so much of it. If you printed it out, you could probably bury your house in it or something, like there's so much of it. And I know we've talked about like not necessarily wanting to make fun of like random people on the internet that are writing slash fiction or fan fiction in general. Like, and that makes sense. Like a lot of them, like we said, are probably just, teenagers or just somebody with a little outlet or venting or whatever.
Right.
Or just writing silly stuff. Who cares? Whatever. That's fine. I mean, I think there definitely is stuff that is probably worthy of ridicule. 50 Shades of Grey, for example, started as a Twilight fanfic.
Is there Trump slash fiction?
Oh my God, probably. Trump slash who? I do not want to know.
I mean, because that I would feel comfortable mocking.
Well, so what I'm saying though is...
But the downside is you would have to
You'd have to read it, or at least a synopsis of it, and that is bad enough.
Ugh.
But what I'm saying is it's not necessarily making fun of it focused, right? Like it is more just focused on like exploring and, enjoying in whatever way you enjoy it, right? Like some of it might be genuinely enjoyable. Some of it might be ironically enjoyable or enjoyable in the way that we enjoy bad movies or whatever. And I don't think we have to have necessarily a judgmental attitude about it in terms of, can you believe this idiot wrote this stupid thing, right? Or whatever. In some cases, maybe. But.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it would be hard not to get a little bit judgmental, though.
Well, so here's, I discovered a fan fiction that is stupid, but in a way that I think is fun. And I'm not necessarily judging it, right? Like, I could almost see myself writing something like this if fan fiction was the kind of thing I ever wrote, which I haven't ever done that. But, I could sort of see doing something like this, right? So this fan fiction from fanfiction.net is called Ultra Super God Wicker Man. Now, I just noticed the name of the author of this, which is kind of a bummer. The author is Hitler the Duck.
Oh.
So I don't know what that means.
Okay, if you have Hitler in your username, we can make fun of you.
We probably can make fun of you, but this is a fan fiction about the movie Wicker Man starring Nicolas Cage, which is one of our faves as far as bad movies.
Yeah.
How to Get Burned. How to Get Burned.
How to Get Burned.
Right.
It's the name of my Kindle.
Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very silly, stupid movie. This is a fan fiction in which...
Doesn't he like punch a little girl in that movie?
He drop kicks a girl. He jump kicks her.
Jump kicks her.
And he punches an old lady while wearing a bear costume. Now, the old lady, I mean, the island was full of like cult women that were going to sacrifice him. So it's, I guess, justified by the plot of the movie.
Yeah, because women are evil. And if you put a bunch of them on an island, they just will learn to hate men and sacrifice them to their gods.
Wicker god or whatever. Yeah, whatever it was. But so in the movie at the end, spoilers, but they put Nicolas Cage in a wicker man, a big man made of wicker, a wicker man, and set it on fire and kill him, right? Mm-hmm. What this fan fiction presupposes is maybe he didn't die, because in this one, the wicker man turns into a big like Gundam or something, like a big mech suit.
Okay.
And also in this fan fiction, the character is Nicolas Cage, not whatever his character was in the movie.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read like the first paragraph here real quick. Nicolas Cage screamed as he was being burned alive inside the Wicker Man. He couldn't believe that this was happening. His ex-fiancée Willow had tricked him into coming here just so he could be sacrificed so that these natives could have their goddamn honey. So anyway, this is very silly. And I think if we wanted to do more of this topic, we could like find stuff like this that's kind of fun and silly and just enjoy it, right?
I'm quite fascinated by the person who loves Wicker Man enough to write slash fiction about it.
Well, this isn't slash fiction. That one's just regular fan fiction as far as I know.
I mean, okay, either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just somebody had a stupid idea at the end of the movie where they're like, what if it turned into a mech suit, right?
Yeah.
And just decided to write that. It's somebody whose name is Hitler the Duck, so something is going weird in their brain to
Right,
begin
that's what
with,
I'm saying. Like, I have a lot of questions.
I also Googled like wildest fan fiction just to see if anything good would come up. And I found a Reddit thread here where, so none of these are the actual fan fictions themselves. We'd have to go find them. But this person says, 2 years ago, Admiral Akbar 1 says, I've seen no fewer than 3 fics in AO3's top couple hundred. AO3 is Archive of Our Own, which is a slash fiction website. I've seen no fewer than 3 fics in AO3's top couple hundred for Game of Thrones, whose premise is that Dumbledore needs an alliance with the Dothraki, so he sells off Harry Potter as a bride to Khal Drogo.
I tilting my head with a quizzical look is not good audio, but
that's wild, right?
Multiple people had this idea.
More than one person thought that was an interesting premise for a story.
Or one, maybe one of them did, and the other two were inspired by it, I guess.
Who knows? But either way, this commenter, Mellifluous Sussura from 2 years ago, says, Star-Crossed is a fic where Khan from Star Trek, you remember Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban in Star Trek II, I want to say, right? The movie?
I don't know if I've seen.
He's the one where Kirk is like, Khan! You know, like that famous thing. It doesn't really matter that
I'm not
much.
sure if I've seen it. But.
Khan from Star Trek accidentally time travels to the past where he meets and falls in love with Richard III from history, but mostly Shakespeare. Alas, their love wasn't meant to be, and they wound up reincarnating, one forward in time and one backwards, until they meet again as John and Sherlock in Sherlock.
Okay.
So, like, what I'm getting from this is that fan fiction, you know, writ large, is kind of just, what if everybody's brain just kind of fired off on random associations and then they actually wrote it down?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Who has the confluence of interests where they want Khan from Star Trek and Richard III from Shakespeare to fall in love and then become Watson and Sherlock?
At least one person.
Yes, at least one person. And I feel like there's something fun there to me of just kind of seeing these random combinations and where they go. And again, I don't think it has to necessarily be judgmental, right? Like, it's fine. It's fine for somebody to write a silly thing like this. And maybe it's even good. I mean, it's not impossible. It could be good, I guess, if the writing is good enough, right? Like, but
I feel like we can't just read it. Like, you got to give commentary. Otherwise, you're just like stealing someone's work for entertaining people.
Well, I mean, they're already stealing a bunch of people's work, but for sure. Yeah,
but like,
sure. We would have to. I think if we were going to do this kind of thing, we would want to, you know, read some of these stories or find a good one and then talk about it. Not necessarily even read the whole thing, but we could point people to it in the show notes and stuff probably. And just like, this is what I found this week, you know, one from each of us or something like that. Maybe. I don't know if we're going to do it for this episode, we probably just have to kind of Google some stuff and see what we find. But I feel like it could legitimately be a fun podcast.
All right. What else we got this week?
Let's see. We talked a few episodes ago, I think, about emojis, and I feel like we could do an emoji-based podcast where we just each week we pick one emoji and talk about the emoji, how people use it, what it's good for, how we use it, what you know, stuff like that, right?
So each episode would be about a singular emoji?
Potentially. I mean, I don't know if that would be enough content. Maybe they'd be short episodes, but
a podcast where we talk about the cute things that our cat is doing right now.
Okay.
He just laid down on the floor and looked up at you and showed you his belly. He was just like, hello, sir.
He's like, hello, please pay attention to me. I know you're not doing anything important right now.
It can't be more important than petting my belly.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's rolling over.
Fully on his back with his legs sticking up.
Goosebump. And I said his name, and he rolled over the other direction, and he's just like, why are you not petting me? I can see his tail starting to twitch, like angry that he's not being petted.
Yes. Is this good audio?
Yes. Oh, he's come over for pets.
Okay. So,
I mean, I'm enjoying myself. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So just a cat.
What's your favorite emoji?
Probably the unicorn. Maybe one of the skull ones.
Yeah. Is that what's your most used emoji?
My most used emoji is probably the thumbs up emoji, or either that or the cool sunglasses emoji.
Yeah.
I would say.
I feel like I use the blue heart a lot.
Yeah.
The light blue one. I was really excited when they added the light blue one.
Right.
That one felt more me than the dark blue one.
Right. We talked about that last time.
I also use the like grimace face emoji a lot. The one that's like,
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like that one is very versatile.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else do I use?
I have my own particular predilections as far as emojis go. I often will use a beefy arm and a chicken together.
Yeah.
Like the chicken has a big beefy arm.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means. It's just funny to me. Sometimes I'll be like, this is the beefy arm chicken of good luck or something.
Yeah. I think you sent that to me when I was like, oh, I was doing couch to 5K and was on a particularly difficult week. And you sent that to me for like inspiration.
Yeah.
It didn't work though. I didn't make it all the way through.
Oh, well.
Almost.
I guess that was probably my fault.
I was a semi-buff.
I picked the wrong emoji.
I was a semi-buff chicken.
Yeah.
I almost made it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the like cry laughing one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not much of an LOL person.
Yeah.
I'm a ha 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 person.
Yeah, I'm much more of a ha ha ha. I pretty much only use LOL or like LMAO or whatever, like ironically, like I'm making fun of you.
Right.
You're a dipshit, LOL kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like emojis, everybody.
Or just talking about texting in general.
Yeah.
Could be fun too. Just like things that people do over text that annoy us.
Yeah. We could also talk about not just emoji, meaning the like little images, but emoticons, the like text-based version, smileys and so on.
Yeah. Do you have any like older people in your life that just don't know how to use emojis?
Oh, yeah.
That like they send you a combination of emojis where you're just like, I don't know what you're trying to say here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't talk to that many old people, I guess.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about. I do also have young people in my life who have idiosyncratic usages of emoji.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Svetlana is just trying.
She'll send a whole string of emojis that supposedly mean something to her, but
yeah,
is nonsense typically. She also, like, I remember when she was first learning to read and stuff, she had a fun way of sending emojis. Like, I remember one time, because she and I were I was living in Seattle and she was over here in Albany. And so we would text somewhat and FaceTime and stuff, but we had to coordinate when we were going to talk, right?
Right.
And I remember her sending me a message saying, I can, and then a taco emoji, meaning that she was available to talk.
Oh, I can taco.
I can taco. And then I also remember around that time with Svetlana, we would just send kind of random emojis to each other. Just, here's a frog, here's a unicorn, here's a pizza, whatever. And I think it was autocorrect, but she tried to say thanks for the emojis, but she said thanks for the amigos.
I remember that. Yeah, my mom will sometimes send kind of baffling combinations of emojis. This was one where we were coordinating when I was going to call so she could say hi to Rory. She said, okay, I'm starting sushi at 4 and will be hard to talk while making rolls. And then we've got a smiley emoji. And then I'm not sure what this second emoji is.
Oh, I think it's like a smiley covered in like fog or steam or something.
Yeah, so I guess maybe she meant it to be a smiley face as a sushi roll. I'm not sure what she was going for there.
There is a sushi emoji too, isn't there? I think there's a few actually.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what that was about.
Svetlana and I also have lately been texting, like when like instead of a thumbs up, a lot of times she'll send a boba emoji.
Well, she does love her boba.
Loves boba. Or she'll send a boba and a thumbs up kind of thing.
Right.
Even, we're not talking about boba or anything.
Any excuse to use the boba emoji.
Yeah.
Or talk about boba or think about boba.
I will also send her a frog emoji and a toilet because it's like ribbity toilet.
Ribbity toilet. That's pretty good.
I'm enjoying like trying like sort of trolling her about some of the silly Gen Alpha slang stuff, the brain rot, Gibbity Ohio nonsense.
That's pretty good.
Like she'll send me the crossed out emoji and a hat, meaning like no cap, right? Or whatever. Right. And I'll be like, yes, no hats. Stuff like that. Anyway, there's a crap load of emojis and they're often adding more.
Yeah.
And I think, they probably have actual names. I actually worked on emojis for a little while, sort of.
Oh, really? When you were doing the Windows Phone?
I worked on Windows Phone, yeah. And I worked, there was a designer that sat next to me, basically, that worked on creating them. And I had sort of a close view on how that worked and tested them out because I worked on the messaging app in Windows Phone.
Right.
Back in the day, Windows Phone 7.
Yeah, I don't remember Windows Phone having particularly good emojis.
They're basically the same ones you get on Windows, and which maybe you haven't looked at that either. But if you don't know, on Windows, you can hit Windows period to bring up the emoji picker in Windows, which is actually very cool because not only is it the emoji picker, but it's also a place there's another different tab for obscure characters, an actual ellipsis or M dash or the trademark symbol, stuff like that. And there's another
So
tab.
not obscure characters in media or anything.
No, sorry. Obscure glyphs in a font, in your font, right? Stuff that is hard to type. And then there's another one.
It would be funny if it was obscure, characters.
It was just like the rabbit from Star Fox or something.
Yeah.
Right? Random stuff like that. The other tab, just so people know this, if you have Windows and you hit Windows period, you got emoji tab, you got the obscure glyphs tab or whatever. And then there's also a tab that is complicated text emoticons. So it has the shrugging guy, right? The one that's slashes and a Japanese
I
character.
have that. And there's feature on iPhone where you can put in shortcuts for things.
Yeah.
So I have and shrug. If I just type and shrug, it makes that guy.
I have the same thing except I have 2 ampersands and then shrug.
Yeah. Mine's an ampersand, just 1 ampersand.
Yeah. I do that just in case there's no way to accidentally do that, basically.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of those programmed into my phone too. But yeah, on Windows there's there's a picker for a bunch of those more sort of Japanese style emoticons.
A podcast where we teach people about hidden phone and computer features.
Yeah. Sounds boring. Maybe that's what's happening right now. Maybe this is boring. Anyway, so there's lots of stuff we could talk about with emojis. Apparently, the skull emoji, according to emojipedia.org, is also known as death, grayskull, or skeleton. And the code point is Unicode 1F480. So that's useful to know.
A podcast where we just tell people Unicodes.
Yeah, we tell people hexadecimal codes for things.
Very exciting
Very helpful and useful. Anyway, so that was the emoji idea, I guess. Do we have anything we are feeling strongly about so far?
I mean, I do want to bring back reviewing French fries and talking about French fries, but that might just be because I'm hungry.
Because you're hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another idea. Let me hit you with this. Can we get otters?
Can we get otters?
There's a YouTube channel I've been seeing lately where some people apparently have a couple of pet otters.
I think they're in Japan, right? It's a thing in Japan.
It looks like, I think they're Japanese.
There's an otter cafe you can go to in Japan because they have a cafe for everything.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh my gosh. A podcast where we go to Japan and we just review the different cafes.
Okay.
I saw one.
Otter cafe, cat cafe. What other kind of cafes do
There's
they
a capybara cafe.
Capybara cafe. Yeah. Okay.
Now, that would be fun.
There's
an owl cafe.
Owl cafe.
I think Julie, shout out to cousin Julie, went to the owl cafe when she was in Japan.
Okay.
I was quite jealous.
That's pretty interesting.
All we have here are cat cafes.
Yeah. Maybe for legal reasons or ethical reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, owls are predators with sharp claws, so I could see that being a danger. I mean, I guess cats are too, but
yeah. I mean, I think
cats are semi-domesticated at least.
I think there are precautions taken when they're.
Yeah.
You just really have to be careful with their talons because they
have sharp talons.
They have sharp talons. They like to foot.
They like to foot?
Yeah. So if you don't see, when you hold an owl, you have to hold its feet to hold it around its ankles.
Okay.
Because that's how they attack with their feet.
Right.
It's called footing.
Okay.
I got to hold a little barred owl when I was volunteering at the wildlife center. And
you say barn owl or barred owl?
Barred owl.
Okay.
Barred owl. They're very tiny.
Are they barn owls or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They're different.
They're not the apple-faced ones. Those are barn owls.
They're much cuter.
Okay.
They're much cuter. But this one was really sick. So I was just holding it while somebody fed it so that it wouldn't attack. But it was like kind of a sad experience because like there was no way this owl was attacking anyone. He was not in good shape.
Yeah.
But he was a cute little guy.
Okay. So that leads me to a similar idea, but maybe a better idea that could maybe be what we want to do, which is we can't go to Japan, at least not right now, and review cafes of different things. But along the lines of can we get otters, we could do a podcast where every week we have a different animal and we say, can we get owls? Can we get otters? Can we get
And we look into the legalities of...
Yeah, we look into all the things like what would it take? Like, how would you handle owls if you had them or otters? Is it legal? Are there different species that are better or worse to have as pets, right? Like,
it's interesting because there have been times where I have looked into this because I used to want a pet fennec fox so badly. And like it varies by state.
Yeah.
It really varies by state. Like I think in Oregon you can have a fennec fox. In Washington you can't.
We'd have to look up New York.
You'd have to look up
Stuff.
New York laws. So I don't know what the laws in New York are on fennec foxes.
Yeah.
I can tell you that fennec foxes are very high maintenance because they're diggers.
Oh, okay.
So like if you don't give them lots to do to get their energy out and lots of places to dig, they'll like dig up your couch cushions and stuff.
Right. I mean, like dogs will do that sometimes, but they're just less domesticated dogs, basically.
Right.
Or along those lines. Yeah. What do you think?
But they're such cute
They're
little guys.
very cute. Big ears. Very cute.
Weigh like 3 pounds.
Don't they make horrible screeching noises too or something, I feel like? Or like sonar kind of echolocating sounds almost.
Do they?
I feel like they do, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know.
I mean, I know that those dogs with that don't have vocal cords do. What are they called? Starts with a B. Basenjis, yeah. They make a pretty terrible noise. Like you would think like, oh, I'm going to get a barkless dog. It'll be very quiet. No.
They make a different
terrible noise.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fun, but I think it would be less fun if you lived with it all the time.
Yeah. Well, and supposedly Shiba Inus have a Shiba scream, which I remember watching a YouTube video one time where it sounded like a horrible demon scream, but I haven't been able to find that video again.
Yeah. From a Shiba Inu.
Yeah, the Shiba scream.
Yeah, I know they're very active too.
Yeah.
Huskies can be very obnoxious too. They are big whiners. They whine a lot.
Yeah, I feel like as far as dogs go, a lot of times you're best off actually with the really big dogs because they tend to be lazier. Like Great Danes are supposed to be really lazy.
Yeah, greyhounds too. You wouldn't.
Greyhounds are lazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, but like, I mean, they can run really fast, but they also like need to sleep a lot. They love to hide under blankets. Like,
they're so little and skinny. They probably need warmth, right?
Yeah. So like nobody ever really thinks of greyhounds being lazy, but they actually are very lazy animals.
Okay, but I think can we get dogs? The answer is pretty clear on that.
Yeah.
So,
well, not necessarily because we have 3 cats. Like, did you know with greyhounds, you have to like, because I looked into adopting a like retired greyhound at one point, and you have to like, you have cats, you've got to make sure that you've got one that is used to being around cats and isn't going to think, oh, this cat is rabbit that I need to chase and eat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if any of these animals, I think we have to take our cats out of the equation as far as can we get otters or can we get owls or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We have
to take our toddler out of consideration too, because in this world we're like, the answer is no.
Right. The answer is no to everything if we don't take those things out of the equation. But I think we're getting.
I'd like to talk more about this one.
Yeah, we're getting far along. I think we should do like a can we get, what would we call it? Can we get this animal? Or we could just call it can we get otters or something like that, I guess.
Can we get an otter?
Can we get an otter?
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing too, is like some animals you probably need to get more than one because they might be like social, right? Like they might need an otter buddy.
Yeah. So first we look at the legality of it.
Right.
I'm just going to do a quick Google and see like if you can own an otter in New York. Let's see.
There's also different kinds of otters to consider. Some might be better pets than others, right? There's river otters and sea otters and probably more further subdivisions among those.
You cannot own an otter in New York. You can own an otter, it looks like, in California, Florida, because of course,
yeah.
Indiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska. Oh, wait. No, this does say New York. Okay, I made a mistake. I looked at the AI answer first.
Oh.
Private possession of exotic animals, according to bornfreeusa.org, has it by state. So let's see what we've got for New York. In New York, it is unlawful for a person to possess a wild animal. A wild animal is defined as all members of the Felidae family except domestic cats, all members of the Canidae family except domestic dogs, all bears, all non-human primates, venomous reptiles, and crocodiles. That is as of January 1st, 2005.
Okay,
So it doesn't specifically say
no, otters are Canidae, I think.
otters are Canidae. Okay.
I believe they're either Canidae or Felidae. They're one of them for sure.
Okay. So birds.
The birds you can. So it doesn't matter how wild the bird is. You could get crows or pigeons and stuff.
Seems
I guess.
like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, I guess.
Crows I don't really want as a pet. I just want to befriend them so they like bring me gifts.
Right. I want to be friends with them on more of an equal term.
Yeah. In fact, we're going to have
and I don't want to be responsible for them, I guess.
We're going to have a nice big yard in our new place. And I think we're going to have to set up some like a situation for crows.
For crows to come.
Some sort of like, here you go, crow.
Perhaps. Yeah.
I mean, I really need to be the creepy house with all the crows.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think all mammals are either Canidae or Felidae, right? Like an elephant isn't a cat or a dog style animal, right? So does that mean you could potentially own an elephant? I mean, like, I guess they can't.
This is the summary of the law, so there's probably
so it might be more
to
specific.
It. But it looks like, from what I'm seeing here, it looks like further along in the alphabet, New York is category B as far as the law. And it goes all the way to like, looks like N. And it looks like when you get to category N, it's a lot more permissive.
Okay. So earlier in the alphabet is you're less able to have animals.
Right.
More restrictive.
Yeah, more restrictive. Ohio specifically lists elephants
as not being allowed to
own them. Being allowed.
Fair. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Oklahoma says no person may possess or raise wildlife for commercial purposes without having first obtained a permit.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a permit you can get? Because like they film movies in New York, right? And they have wild animals in movies. So there must be some way to get permitted, I would think, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think New York's law is specific to, can you own it as a pet?
Right. But what's the difference between owning something as a pet and owning something that you take care of professionally? You know what I mean? Like philosophically, there isn't much difference other than you can get a permit and you probably pay money for it or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could be that the like bringing them in from out of state too, right?
Right.
Like if somebody...
But if it's not legal or it's unlawful or whatever to possess animals, taking them across state lines is just a crime then, right? If there isn't some legal way
I'm sure there's loopholes.
To be permitted or whatever.
I'm sure there's loopholes. So the answer to can we legally get an otter
is no, unless we move to California or someplace.
Yeah.
I wonder what is the closest state that you can own an otter in, or we could find out about the permits.
I mean, I see a Reddit thread here. Here are the states where you can legally own an otter. You're welcome.
Okay.
Let's see what that has to say. Okay, we've got Nevada. You know what? I'm not good with my state maps. Florida's on here.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the map. It doesn't list the map by text.
What is the key for this?
I think it's all the yellow states.
Well, then it says New York.
It does say New York.
Yeah, New York is yellow. So maybe it's just a permit thing, right?
Yeah, let's see. Okay. I don't know how reliable this website is. BigFrog104.com has an article from March 1st, 2024 of 10 exotic animals you can legally own as pets in New York State.
Okay.
We've got a sloth.
Okay. Cool.
A kangaroo.
Okay.
A wallaby.
Wallaby's just a little kangaroo.
Yep. A porcupine.
Okay.
A honey glider, which is
that different than a sugar glider?
It looks like it looks like a sugar glider to me.
Maybe it's just a different flavor.
Yeah, I guess this
of
is
sugar glider.
Yeah, it just looks like a sugar glider to me.
Yeah. I mean, that looks like a sugar glider. I don't know.
Capybaras.
Okay. Capybaras. maybe, okay, so I think legality is one factor.
Wait,
right?
I gotta go through the rest of this list.
Okay.
I'm almost done. Okay. Non-venomous reptiles. Whatever. We knew that, right? Snakes, lizards,
Yeah, sure.
geckos, whatever.
Iguanas
This
and
one's
stuff.
exciting. Fennec fox.
Okay.
So you can own a fennec fox in New York State.
According to Big Frog, whatever.
According to BigFrog104.com. Look at that little guy. He's
So cute. Very cute.
A Codimundi?
Codamundi.
Codamundi is a long-nosed South American relative of the raccoon. Here he is lovingly petting his owner's face.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen those before, but yeah.
A binturong.
Binturongs, those are the ones that smell like popcorn. Their pee smells like popcorn.
Oh, he's very cute.
Yeah.
This looks like a little bear cat.
Yeah, they're called bear cats, I think, or something like that.
Also called a bear cat.
And their pee smells like buttered popcorn.
Yeah.
Could be an interesting factor for a pet. What does their pee smell like? Is it kind of good? Is it the worst thing ever? Right? Like some animals have really nasty smelling pee and stuff, right?
There were no otters on that list, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'd have to do some more serious research, I think, to figure out if it's possible legally. But
Yeah.
I think legality is only one factor, right?
Right.
We want to think about like that's why I'm bringing up like the pee thing, right? Like this animal has pee that smells good. So if they pee on something, it's not that bad, right? It'll just smell like buttered popcorn versus this animal's pee smells like you have descended to the 9th level of hell. And I think Judas is frozen there with the devil or something, whatever. According to Dante, I forget.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like,
Ferrets are pretty smelly.
ferrets are
I
smelly.
feel like any kind of weasel is probably going to be pretty smelly.
Smelliness is a factor, right? Like, what would it be like in your house? Now, any animal is going to have some smell,
Right.
right? Like our cats have a smell. Sometimes
Sometimes worse than
sometimes
others.
worse than
but
others.
it's easier to contain with some animals than others.
Right.
Like, especially you get a wild animal, like are they trained or they just gonna poop and pee all over your house?
Right. And also, are they a kind of animal that has like a strong musk that they use for some reason, right?
Right.
Like a muskrat or whatever.
Right.
Or a musk ox, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why they're called musk oxes or not, but
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure musk rats at least have a lot of musk or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have room for it in your house?
Right. How big is it?
Yeah.
Right. Those otters that we see on YouTube, on that one YouTube channel, are maybe a little bigger than cats, but could definitely live in a house like cats or dogs do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They seem like they got to keep them in the tub a lot, maybe, or they got to have them water for them a lot. It seems like.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah. That's probably a lot of cleaning.
do you have a place to keep, aquatic animals, right? Like some animals, I guess, can just go in a terrarium or a aquarium or whatever,
Yeah.
fish and turtles and stuff.
Well, you got to clean that all the time too.
Yeah, true.
Cleaning an aquarium sucks.
Yeah.
Not fun. It's like a lot of these animals, I feel like, especially I feel like otters would be like, that's got to be like your job,
Yeah.
right? Like taking care. Like
right. I guess
my job is taking care of our baby right now, and an otter would be so much more work.
Right. But maybe more YouTubeable.
More
We could
YouTubeable.
start a channel and pay for it that way.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like these channels where they're like
Yeah.
monetizing it, I'm like, well, you'd have to.
You kind of have to.
You'd
yeah.
have to because
Unless you're like a rescue organization or something, right? Or some
Yeah.
specific organization for that purpose. Yeah.
or you're just rich and this is just your hobby, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah. I mean, there probably are animals that are more or less maintenance, right? There are
Yeah.
probably some exotic animals that are fairly chill and wouldn't be that bad.
Right.
Make lizards and stuff, right?
Like that girl that we saw on Instagram who had, it looked like a ferret, but wasn't a ferret. What was that animal? There's a video of her like putting on eyeliner with it crawling all over her head.
It wasn't it a weasel or something?
It was some type of weasel, but I remember we were watching it together and we watched a few videos from it. And you were like, and at one point it starts like climbing on her head and then it's like climbing up the curtains. And
Yeah.
you were like, oh, okay, this person just has a wild animal living in their house.
Right. Like she's trying to put on makeup and it's like biting her nose or something, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
I guess it's good for the content.
yeah.
But I don't know how you have that. Yeah. You couldn't have a child, obviously.
Yeah.
And have that.
Yeah.
Rory would just sit on it and probably either hurt himself badly or hurt it badly.
It would hurt him.
Yeah. Well,
It would
he
hurt
could
him.
potentially hurt it too, though, if
Yeah.
he caught it
But
and
like
sat on it.
he gets scratched by the cats,
Yeah.
pretty on the regular. Usually because he's doing something.
He's chasing them around and trying to sit on them, honestly, a lot of times.
And they're definitely a lot more chill than a wild animal would be,
Probably.
I feel like.
Yeah, probably. There's got to be some wild animals that are pretty chill, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
but they're probably not going to be that chill around a toddler.
No, yeah. Like we said before, you have to be a world where we don't have a toddler.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about like what is our list of like animals that we would want to consider whether we could get one, right? Like we could potentially get like a Komodo dragon or something. I don't think they're technically venomous, but why would we want to? They're dangerous and not cute or anything. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of animals that we wouldn't particularly want, even if we could get one, right? I
could get a Chinese water dragon, and I do love those.
Yeah.
They're
just little kind of iguana-ish looking lizards, right?
They're way cuter than iguanas.
Yeah.
They need like a space to climb though, and it needs to be like half water, half climbing because they need to be in the water too.
Yeah.
But that would be a pet that I would get like, when I don't have a toddler anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a question of like, what are you getting out of having this animal as a pet, right?
Yeah.
Otters are super cute and run around and seem kind of playful and silly and stuff. And you could imagine your life being enriched by that.
Yeah.
But like I've had pet iguanas before. And, aside from the fact that they died, which was a bummer, because I probably didn't take that good a care of them or whatever. Or maybe they just...
Because it was when you were a kid.
Yeah, I was a teenager or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were just like from a lineage at a pet store that wasn't very hardy or who knows.
Yeah,
right?
Buying it from a pet store is always kind of iffy. I had a Chinese water dragon and actually like didn't realize that it had a condition when I bought it that caused it to die within like a year.
Yeah. And I feel like we might have talked about this on the podcast before. But anyway, the point is like I had those lizards and they were cool, but they didn't really enrich my life all that much. You know what I mean? Like they took a fair amount of work to keep them alive, which I guess I failed at. And like they were just mostly in their terrarium.
Yeah.
Sitting on a warm rock most of the time. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think with iguanas or Chinese water dragons, you're going to have a better time if you handle them a lot, especially from the time that they're babies.
Yeah.
Because they can be acclimated to people or not acclimated to people. So like you got to take them out and handle them a lot. And it takes a while for them to like get used to you and just want to hang out. But like my life would be enriched by like lizard chilling on my shoulder.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was gonna say if you had a lizard that would like chill on your shoulder or something, and you walked around, that could be pretty cool.
And you can't it's just you got to get them when they're little.
Yeah,
and acclimate them.
Yeah. On the other hand, something we talked about pee, but there's also a poop situation. Like what is for various animals, right? You would want to consider like birds, for example. A lot of birds, at least, don't have any control over when they poop. They just poop whenever they need to poop. Oh, okay. Rory's awake, so we're gonna have to wrap up soon here.
Yep, he might make some noises.
Yep.
He's sitting on my lap.
Anyway, so yeah, poop would be something to consider. How does the animal poop?
Yeah. The bigger the animal, the bigger the poop. You got to think about.
That's also true. But I'm thinking more about like, can they control it, or how? Like what kind of poop is it? Right? Like rabbits have little pellets.
Pretty easy to clean up.
Pretty easy to deal with. Or like I don't know, a deer or something. I feel like they have kind of pellet-y poop, but.
Yeah, I mean,
predators tend to have more nasty poop, right?
Any herbivore is going to be easier.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, Rory's awake, and so we should probably wrap up here. But one last thing before we wrap up, though, like, do we call this do we just call it? Can we get an otter? Can we get otters? We call it like, can I have one? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think if there's a slightly more generic name that still sounds fun. Can we get this animal?
I don't know. I kind of like, can we get an otter?
Can we get an otter? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Can we? Yeah. Okay. Shall we do our social media?
Yeah. So you can find all of our links to our social media on our website, which is coolpodcast.website. You can email us your ideas to ideas@coolpodcast.website. You can find us on Instagram and Threads, and not Blue Sky yet, but we might be on Blue Sky soon. At What Should Pod.
Blue Sky's taken off.
Yeah, Blue Sky's taken off. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Welcome to What Should Our Outro Be About, the outro where we try to figure out what this outro that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm still here.
And I'm also still here.
And Rory's here. Should we try to see if we can get Rory to do the alphabet or something as our outro?
Yeah. Rory, do you want to sing the ABCs?
Can you say A, B, C, D? He's smiling. Can you say
E, F.
it? All right. Well, Rory's not quite awake, so I think he doesn't want to say the alphabet, but he says it all the time. So we'll see if we can't get a recording of that and put that here.
A, B,
C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, O, A, C, U, V, W, L, C, now E, C,
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. We do need a phrase before we finish up.
Now I ABC.
Now I ABC.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the phrase if you want to win the episode. If you don't know, we've been having a secret phrase during the outro where if you are the first person to comment that on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, then you win the episode. And if you want, you can request a drawing from me and or a song from Ginger. And so that phrase this time is Now I ABC.
Which is how Rory sings Now I Know My ABCs.
Yeah, maybe we even got a recording of that, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the phrase and that's the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. We're sorry and we won't do better next time. Bye.
What was that podcast about? I'm trying to figure it out. Didn't catch what that was about.